Welcome to Shaping eCommerce with Iron Plane. This is where we talk about e-commerce development, solutions, digital marketing, and all things e-commerce. Be sure to check out the description below each video to find additional resource links and show notes. We upload new videos each day. Please like and subscribe to our channel.
So welcome back to another episode of Shaping e-commerce with Iron Plane. I'm Tim Bucciarelli, Director of Engagement for Iron Plane, and today I'm joined by Michael Potters from Gorgias, and that's spelled Gorgias. And if you haven't heard of it, you're about to learn a little bit more about this platform that supports many different e-commerce merchants today. And Michael, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on, Tim. It's a real pleasure.
So Gorgias, Gorgias is one of those companies that I think I've been seeing everywhere for the past probably 2 or 3 years. I don't know. It seems like it has attracted a lot of attention, and we can get into the details, but first, before we go into the platform itself, just give us a little bit of your background for our audience.
Yeah, great. Thanks again, Tim, and thanks to the audience for tuning in. My name is Michael Potters. I'm a Senior Strategic Partner Manager here at Gorgias. So I manage the relationships that we have with our top e-commerce development agencies, the ones that, of course, include Iron Plane and friends like Tim. I was on the merchant side for 6 years before I joined Gorgias. I was a founder, operator, CEO. That company was acquired in December of 2020. And the reason I actually joined Gorgias was because we ended up becoming power users of the platform before the acquisition. For a very long time, we had struggled with we for a very long time viewed customer support as a cost center. And I'm sure it's the same for most of you in the audience. And it's often viewed that way. And in what we discovered when Gorgias came along and sort of entered our peripheral vision and then became a very important part of our business, what we discovered is that with the right tooling and the right approach to customer support and customer service, you can transform that cost center into a revenue center. So once we discovered that, of course, it became like almost the foundational layer of our entire growth stack. It's the layer indeed where your customer support team is having rich and meaningful engagements with the customer, and where a lot of that revenue that would otherwise sort of fall through the cracks can be captured by that customer support team and build meaningful long-term relationships with those customers at scale. So when we discovered that, it was sort of a no-brainer to make the switch from Zendesk to Gorgias, and then a no-brainer for me personally, after, of course, I took a bit of a break after the company was acquired because it was really hard. And I took a bit of a break, and then I joined Gorgias about 6 months later, and the rest is really history. I've been with Gorgias now for 2.5 years. I get to work with amazing partners like Iron Plane and many others that are serving the BigCommerce, Magento, and the Shopify ecosystems, and help merchants discover the power of customer support as a revenue center. It's been really cool actually to be on this side of things. You get sort of a 30,000-foot view and see what some of the top performing merchants in those ecosystems are doing. How are they successful? What tools are they using? How are they using customer support to drive revenue? It's one thing to actually say it, but tactically, how are they actually using the platform to drive revenue? It's been really cool.
So a lot of thoughts are bubbling up in my head here. I'm thinking, okay, tech stack. I'm thinking CRM. I'm thinking e-commerce. I'm thinking customer support. I'm thinking chat tools. I'm thinking SMS. I'm thinking marketing automation. Like there's a whole ecosystem there that maybe Gorgias could even touch on some components of that for sure. Yeah. But it's a really dynamic space also. because you have so many players trying to figure out where they fit. I'll give you a couple of examples. Klaviyo with Klaviyo One. You've got HubSpot, you've got Salesforce, you've got Zendesk, you've got Gorgias. Like, you've got all of these players in this space. So if you could just tell me a little bit more about the sweet spot where Gorgias lives in that space. I mean, generally what we're talking about here is customer support, customer service, through whatever channel, whether it's phone calls, emails, chat, video, whatever it is. But go ahead and tell us a little bit about where Gorgias fits into that market.
Yeah, it's a great question, Tim. So, and it's interesting that you bring up Klaviyo and the others, and these are all partners of ours. So I think it is a really important distinction to make. All of those, well, not all of the technologies that you mentioned, but a handful of those technologies that you mentioned are trying to solve for the engagement layer of the stack. Like, this is the layer where you're actually communicating with the customer. But there's a really important distinction to make here, especially between Gorgias and Klaviyo. Klaviyo is the CDP, the outbound communication layer, if you will, for the merchant stack. So this is where you're actually going to be building marketing automations and segments and communicating with your customers in an outbound fashion. With Gorgias, think of Gorgias as like the inbound engagement layer. So any communication that happens from the customer across all of the different customer support channels, email, phone, live chat, SMS, social, all of those different channels, when a customer engages with the brand, has a question either pre-sale or post-sale. Imagine a question like, where is my order? Or do you have this in stock? Do you have this color? What's your shipping policy? Do you ship to this state? Do you ship to this country? These are all pre-sale and post-sale questions that happen across the entire customer buying journey and then into post-purchase. And without a help desk, of course, it's impossible to manage all those communications at scale. So they're happening in silos. You have no visibility on who this customer is when they reach out to you. Nothing's integrated into your back end, into your back office. So who this customer is, how much they've spent, where their order is, all of these things are siloed and impossible for the customer support team to manage. So enter Gorgias. Gorgias is the help desk that takes all of those inbound communications, applies some machine learning and logic and automation to make the life a lot easier for the customer support team to manage, and then also equip them with the tools to manage those communications at scale and optimize for revenue, and begin to transform those customer conversations into currency. Like take those customer conversations and tag them appropriately, let the machine learning do a lot of the work to surface those opportunities for the customer support team to drive revenue. That's the fundamental difference. Another one that you mentioned was HubSpot and Salesforce. So HubSpot and Salesforce are in a very different sort of arena, if you will. They primarily operate in the B2B space. And they are a proper CRM. So this is a CRM that's built for that use case.
And it's more kind of top of funnel, like prospecting and nurturing and getting your prospects to come to you. It is its own flavor of inbound, but it's quite different than what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's most appropriate for B2B because naturally, if you're having a business relationship with a large organization, HubSpot and Salesforce would be appropriate for that because you're managing multiple contacts, could indeed be actually hundreds of contacts that belong to the same organization. Now consider e-commerce and direct consumer and B2C. In almost all cases, you're going to be having a business relationship with one single person. Like there's just one single person making that purchase, right? So having visibility on everything about that one particular customer is really important. You don't necessarily need to have visibility on like the entire organization structure and all of the different components and all the different layers, and having to actually manage invoicing and so on through the CRM. Gorgias is built specifically for e-commerce. Gorgias is built specifically for D2C and B2C. And Salesforce and HubSpot may be solving a similar set of business problems for the B2B customer, but two very different worlds.
Okay. One of the things that you said struck me as kind of similar, but I'm curious to get your take on this. In e-commerce, we talk a lot about personalization, and this is from like someone who's performing a search or browsing your website, and some way or another through cookies or tags, you can figure out like what they've been looking at, what they put in their shopping cart, what other people of their, like if you're looking at this one category, what other people have looked for when they looked in that category. And so you're using machine learning to start generating more personalized suggestions for products or more personalized communication. Is that kind of comparable to the machine learning that you're trying to do on an individual basis in terms of support needs? Is there some degree of personalization that your machine learning is doing?
There's actually two layers to it. So the first layer is our native integration into the platform. So whether it be BigCommerce or Shopify, the customer, because there's an integration there, all of those variables that are relevant to that particular customer are available to the customer support team during that customer engagement. So rather than having to go into the back end of BigCommerce, for example, and try to find who this customer is and how much they've spent, and do they have a current, what's their order history, what's their communication history, all of those things are sort of a mystery if you don't have a help desk that's natively integrated. So because we're natively integrated with BigCommerce, because we're natively integrated with Shopify, and we have that integration with Magento, irregardless of platform, that customer support team has a single pane of glass, if you will, that they can see every single relevant detail about that customer when they're having a conversation with them. And then of course we can build automations around this using rules and machine learning. So for example, I'll give you an example. We can set, this is a very popular rule that a lot of our top performing merchants are using. It's a VIP rule. So when a ticket is created on any of the channels that I mentioned before, email, live chat, SMS, phone, social, when a ticket is created on any of those channels, if that customer has spent X number of dollars, we can set the threshold, the rule. If the customer spent X number of dollars, assign a tag to that ticket as a VIP customer. That customer spent X number of dollars, they are now a VIP, and now we can route that ticket to the appropriate team. We can prioritize that customer as a VIP. So that's one way that our machine learning is detecting the sentiment, intent, and we're building rules on top of that to define who a VIP customer is, for example, and manage that relationship accordingly. And of course, that's scratching the surface in terms of the rules and automations that we can build to really build a rich, meaningful engagement with that customer. The second part is actually what we're calling the revenue add-on. So this is precisely what you were describing there, Tim, where you can understand based on certain actions that the customer has taken on the site during that shopping experience, we can display certain information or prioritize certain information to the customer depending on what actions or what behavior our machine learning is detecting during that buyer journey. Okay, so this is really important, of course, for conversion rate optimization on the site. Imagine a scenario, for example, where a customer has this product in their cart. They also have another product in the cart. They spent X number of seconds on this page, and now they've reached the checkout. How can our machine learning put together the pieces to display certain information at the checkout that may improve that conversion rate? Or maybe even put an agent in front of that customer at a certain point of that buyer journey that's optimal for conversion. These are the types of data points that our machine learning is using for this revenue add-on to help lift conversion rates. And we're seeing significant lifts actually. That revenue add-on is actually in beta right now. We have 10 of our top enterprise merchants using the revenue add-on to test it and make sure that it's fully ready for showtime next quarter. It's early next quarter. When we release that revenue add-on, it's going to be groundbreaking in the sense that it'll be the only engagement add-on, we'll call it, that uses machine learning and AI to surface in front of the customer the information that they need based on that behavior and the persona of that customer.
Is it using data that's within the Gorgias platform as well as their behavior on the website? Is it kind of melding those two in how it?
Exactly. So it's a combination of those two things. Plus, we're also in a lot of ways building a platform. So all of the other integrations. So we have hundreds of third-party integrations that are building on top of Gorgias or have already built native integrations. Think of Yotpo and Klaviyo and Smile and Loop Returns and all the usual suspects in the e-commerce ecosystem. Those are also relevant data points. In fact, they're highly relevant.
Yeah.
So we're taking all of those data points and then building a picture of the customer, and also taking all of that behavior and using it to optimize that experience on the site, and using that we call it the engagement widget. It's so much more powerful than chat. Live chat, and to your earlier point, Tim, so many, and they've come and gone, right? So many vendors, if you will, or technology solutions have come up in the last 5, 6, 7 years that are trying to solve for chat. And I want to make sure that the audience is not confused that Gorgias is not a one-trick pony live chat solution. Live chat is part of the functionality that is available out of the box, and it's very powerful with Gorgias. But you also have to remember that Gorgias is indeed a help desk. We are powering all of the communications across the entire customer journey, across all of the channels that your customer is reaching out to you on. Email, phone, live chat, SMS, social, all of those channels are important. Live chat and that engagement widget, as we call it, is one very important piece of that, but it's not the only piece.
So just while I'm thinking about it, what role does SMS play in your platform today?
It's such a great question. And in fact, at the time of recording, it's March 16th, 2023, we just hosted D2CX, which is the largest virtual D2C conference globally. There were 5,000 attendees, some really big brands speaking. It was awesome. And I was hosting yesterday, and I had a conversation with one of our merchants, one of our enterprise merchants, who was sharing just how important SMS has become for their growth. And it was just so interesting the way that she described it. So an SMS campaign goes out. And by the way, just so we're on the same page, SMS is not always appropriate for all brands, okay? And it has to be used carefully. And we have a lot of partners in the ecosystem that can help in defining and crafting what an appropriate SMS strategy is for your business. So they were a Gen Z merchant. So their customer is primarily Gen Z. So naturally there's a big appetite there for that type of communication.
Yep.
It's like texting a friend. So how they were using SMS. So when the SMS campaign goes out from any of the SMS providers that we work with, that we partner with, so that's Klaviyo or Attentive or Postscript, even Yotpo has an SMS product now. When that SMS campaign goes out, there's going to be like responses naturally. And in a lot of cases, those responses will surprise you. So the SMS campaign goes out about an offer that they're having, but the response is, where is my order? Okay. Or do you have a discount code? Or do you have this other option in stock? I'm not really quite keen about this option that you have a promotion on. I've had my eye on another product. Is that available as well? These are the types of engagements, the really rich ones that are often falling through the cracks because the marketing team is not actually the marketing team who are responsible for actually sending those SMS campaigns are not also responsible for responding to the answers that come in.
And all of those that you just described seem like such great opportunities.
Yeah, that's low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
That's the major low-hanging fruit. So those SMS campaigns go out, the responses come in, the marketing team is busy doing other stuff, which is their actual job, and they're not responding to this low-hanging fruit. Okay, enter Gorgias. Gorgias and help desk that integrate with your SMS platform, and also, of course, integrate with your backend, whether that be BigCommerce, Shopify, or Magento. Now we're connecting. You see how we're connecting the dots here?
Yeah.
So now the SMS has gone out. The customer responds to that SMS campaign, and what does the customer support team see? They see the response. They know who it's from. They know if this person's a VIP. They know how much they spent, where their order is. Every single communication that's been with that customer chronologically, so they have all the context that they need. And then the machine learning is adding on all the efficiency on top of that. Okay, now we can actually have a conversation with that customer over SMS, and it's completely native. So we're responding back to that customer. And you know what, the really interesting thing that this customer of ours yesterday when I was interviewing was sharing. So in Gorgias, you also have access to the catalog and dynamic discount codes. So now we can also help that customer not only just, I mean, it's one thing to respond to them and say, hey, yeah, you should actually try the red option. Let's go a lot further than that. And let's actually provide them with the link to actually purchase that item. Like drop the actual product into the SMS conversation, like text them back with the product. You have to have access to the back end to be able to do that. Like you have to have a native integration there. So we're capturing that revenue. We have access to the catalog. We can actually drop products into the chat. These are all things that now, when I talk about turning that cost center into a profit center, those are precisely the types of tools that the customer support team needs to have in order to be successful at driving revenue. Like they need to have those tools in their toolkit. Otherwise, it's the difference between saying being not able. Well, there's actually 3 degrees here. There's a spectrum. The ones that are not successful using SMS are actually just not responding to those that really low-hanging fruit that's coming in from those SMS campaigns. Okay, so that's one side of the spectrum. And in the middle, they're responding, but they don't actually have access to the catalog. They don't have access to those discount codes. They don't have the tools they need to actually help this customer to make a purchase. So that's kind of like the middle. And now the ultra successful ones are the ones that are actually using the right platform, have access to the catalog, have the tools. The customer support team, they've equipped and empowered their customer support team with the tools to actually nurture that customer, engage with that customer, drive revenue from that customer.
So when I have 2 different questions, and maybe I'll put them both to you, and then you can choose whichever one you want to go with first. I'm going to mix metaphors. There's an 800-pound gorilla in the room that we might want to talk about, and then the other question is when we talk about Gorgias, merchants are probably wondering, is this right for me? And so I'd like to talk a little bit more about who is a good client profile for Gorgias. Like if they've got one person in their shop handling customer support, 7 days a week, 5 days a week, 7 days a week, whatever it is, and maybe they're a $10 million company, I don't know, versus someone who's got 15 people, or maybe they outsource their CSR operations to a service provider. I don't know. So those are the two things that I'm curious to hear your thoughts on.
For sure. So I can start with the 800-pound gorilla because I love this one. And we're talking about Zendesk.
We are, yes.
So Zendesk is the 800-pound gorilla. They're like the publicly traded Goliath. And there's no denying that. And we don't like to beat up on Zendesk too much because they have a great product, but that product is not built for e-commerce.
It's not built what?
It's not built for e-commerce.
Okay.
Zendesk is built, and it's a great solution for, you could run a mining company off of Zendesk, okay? Airlines, banks, telecom, appropriate, makes sense. It's a good fit. However, the suite of functionality that is required for an e-commerce merchant to be successful is wildly different than a mining company or an airline. And that's the type of functionality that I just described earlier. There's a reason why we are the number one, Gorgias is the number one most installed and highest rated help desk within those ecosystems, the Shopify, Magento, and BigCommerce ecosystems, and why we've eclipsed Zendesk, why we're winning there. It's because every single feature that we ship, every single ticket that our machine learning has ever learned on is e-commerce. Our roadmap 100% e-commerce focused. It's like we have a rowboat, and every single paddle that we're taking is in one direction as a team, and we're in service to the e-commerce merchant. Okay, Zendesk obviously can't say the same. They have a lot of different product lines, and e-commerce is just one drop in the bucket for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
One question I wanted to ask, sorry to interrupt, but also I'd be curious to understand the difference in terms of implementation complexity between the two platforms.
Oh, that's a great question.
And that might actually lead into the other question. So I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, it's a great question. So what often happens, oh man, I'm beating up on Zendesk. You have to forgive me. Okay, so Zendesk has a lot of a la carte functionality social media is actually a really good example of this. So Zendesk will say to you, yes, you can monitor social media activity and respond to comments and ads and on ads and so on, but it's all a la carte, and it does require a third party to actually set it up properly. Okay, so a lot of that a la carte functionality has to be. There's actually a whole cottage industry built up around Zendesk services and implementation.
Kind of systems integrators and
integrators. Yeah. And it's a good thing for those folks, of course. They're helping the merchant, but with Gorgias, it's purely plug and play. It's purely plug and play. And the time to value, a lot of enterprise merchants are actually especially surprised by this. It's so plug and play. They're like, okay, well, we have an army of engineers. They're ready to set up Gorgias. So how long is this whole thing going to take? And we'll respond to them. We say, well, the time to value is 3 to 4 days. Like, there's no third parties required here to actually set things up. It's purely plug and play. We will buy out if you're with Zendesk, we will buy out your Zendesk contract, and we will do the full migration. We do this so often, in fact, that it's basically a reflex. We'll do the full migration of all of your ticket data, your up to 2 years, in fact, of all your ticket data, all your customer data, all of that into Gorgias. And all the training is included. And you know how much you pay for that, Tim?
You have to sign a 3-year contract. I don't know.
$0, no contract.
Wow.
It's entirely included. Everything is included. That there's no frills. There's no extra cost here. Everything is included in the price of a ticket. There's no additional costs. We bill on a per ticket basis. We do not bill on a per agent or per seat basis. So remember when I talked about collaboration between the marketing and customer success teams? Well, because we're billing on a per ticket basis and not a per agent or per seat basis, all those teams have visibility on the help desk. You can have unlimited agents within the help desk, unlimited team members within the help desk, unlimited integrations, unlimited stores if you're multi-store. It's all included in the price of a ticket. There are no frills, and there's no need to go to a third party to do any additional work to get things set up. It's very, very plug and play. Yeah.
So we've got two characteristics, I would say. One is you're going to be targeting e-commerce merchants, pretty clear. Two is you're probably heavily targeting e-commerce merchants who are currently using Zendesk. So that's one idea of a profile. Let's talk a little bit more kind of what I was getting at, what kind of operations do they have with their existing customer service? Where do you guys fit in that kind of profile further?
Yeah. So our ICP, if you will, is we support SMB all the way through to enterprise. Dollar Shave Club just moved over from Zendesk to Gorgias, and we also support like the mom and pop cookie store, in like suburban Connecticut. It's a very wide spectrum of solution that we offer to e-commerce merchants. Our sort of like perfect ICP would be a merchant with a GMV range of somewhere between $5 and $50 million. $5 and $50 million in GMV. They are using what we call a legacy help desk, and they're just burnt out. They're like, this is not working for us anymore. This is not fitting our needs. This is not the type of help desk that our support team is struggling. They're underwater with support volume, and they need a help desk or a solution that's built for their needs. So they're using a legacy help desk, or they're not using a help desk at all.
Yeah.
If they're not using a help desk at all, then it's code red. We need to get like some help because everything is in silos. Nothing is connected. They have no visibility on the customer whatsoever. They don't have the tools to actually drive revenue through customer support. And it's just at that moment, like putting what do they call it? A garden hose on like a forest fire. Like they can't keep up. So yeah, that would be in summary, 5 to 50 million in GMV. Of course, like the Dollar Shave Clubs and the Steve Maddens of the world and all the enterprise merchants that we serve are well north of 100 million in GMV, but the large majority of our customers, I would say, is somewhere between 5 and 50. SMB through to enterprise. We have over 11,000 merchants on platform.
Okay.
40% of those merchants have actually migrated from Zendesk.
And just out of curiosity, I'm sure that you guys track this, but how many of those 40% stay, within a reasonable period of time, whatever that would be? Or what's the term?
I wish I had the data right in front of me, but it's high. I mean, like the proof is in the pudding. We are the highest rated help desk within those ecosystems. Our NRR is really high. We're growing at a rate of 50% annually. So we're growing very, very quickly. There's a huge appetite there for this type of solution. It's the market is like pulling it in. I've never seen anything like it before in my life. I get really excited talking about it because I feel very fortunate that I get to be on this side of things, where like it's almost like there's inertia. It's like the market, that the solution has been absent for so long, and merchants have really struggled, myself included, have been really struggling with this for a really long time. And now Gorgias has developed a solution that really like fits like a glove. It's like it really solves the problem, and the market's pulling it in. So yeah, 40% have migrated from Zendesk to Gorgias. Other legacy help desks that you may encounter or you may be using as a merchant would be Freshdesk. This is a help desk product as well, but it's not built for e-commerce. Again, it's similar to Zendesk. You could run like a mining company off of it, but it's not built for e-commerce. And there are a handful of other help desk solutions in the market that are available, but and worth looking at. I mean, listen, no one's gonna force you to choose one solution over another. It's really important to evaluate all the options when you're evaluating either a switch or a net new help desk. but I'm very confident. I've seen it myself. We're growing very quickly. There's a reason why there's a lot of, as you put it at the very beginning of the help desk or the podcast, there has been a lot of chatter. There's a lot of excitement around Gorgias because it is like a glove. It fits really nice and it's really easy to set up, and there's full transparency in pricing, and the time to value is really quick all the way through SMB to enterprise. So a lot of reasons to consider it.
Well, I'd love to offer out to anyone in the audience if they have any comments or thoughts about Gorgias or customer service platforms that they think are particularly good. We're always interested, and if you're always open to talking with someone at Ironplane about maybe reviewing different options, whether it's an e-commerce platform or your customer service software, we'd love to be able to make the connection between you and Gorgias, make an introduction. It feels like it's a really essential component of a successful e-commerce business. And from everything you've described, it sounds like a really innovative way, like you said, to change it around from being kind of a responsive tool, to much more of a proactive tool that can actually help your bottom line. So I'm excited to see this new release that you're going to be coming out with and start to hear some good data about the results.
Yeah, and we're really excited too. There's a lot to be excited for this year. We just launched the WhatsApp integration, the revenue add-on is coming. Advanced reporting is coming too. So it's one thing to say like, hey, you can drive revenue out of customer support, but it's another thing entirely to report on it and iterate and improve and make sure that like you're constantly, improving that side of the business. So advanced reporting is coming out. A lot of things to be excited about. Yeah.
Anything, I know I hate to ask the question, but I feel like I'm compelled to ask the question. Anything in particularly exciting about AI or GPT-4 that's, is there any integration that you guys think could add value there?
It's such a great question. So we do have a GPT-4 integration already live. And in fact, we have and I mentioned this before, like Gorgias is in a lot of ways a platform. And there's a lot of developer interest in building apps on top of Gorgias. And indeed, one of the apps that was built on top of Gorgias recently was just also, they just got into Y Combinator, which if you're not familiar with what Y Combinator is.
Oh yeah.
So they just got into Y Combinator. So there's a lot of interest, of course, on building on top of Gorgias. So that AI layer, we're really in the early innings. I mean, there's a lot of interest and excitement around AI right now with GPT-4. And Gorgias is like sort of the scaffolding, if you will. And all of those other components are being built on top of that scaffolding to really become the engine of your customer support team and like a revenue center for your business.
That's exciting. Very exciting stuff. I'm glad I've learned something. Hopefully our audience has also learned something. And I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us about Gorgias today. If you don't mind, Michael, give folks a little bit of an insight into how they can get more information, where they can find Gorgias.
For sure. You can email me directly. It's Michael. If you want to see a demo. If you want to see a demo of Gorgias, we'll do a discovery as well. Like it's no, there's no like pressure or anything. We just want to understand what your goals are and whether Gorgias will indeed be helpful to you. You can email me. It's michael.potters, P-O-T-T. It's like Harry Potter with an S, P-O-T-T-E-R-S @gorgias.com, and it's spelled GORGIAS.com. You can email Tim too if you have Tim's email. Tim can make that introduction as well. And if you want to see case studies of some of our top performing merchants and how they're using the platform, just check out our website. There's lots of info there. You can see our roadmap there as well. If you're interested in where the product is actually going in the next 6 months, everything is public. There's no secrets.
And the pricing structures, also the base pricing structures are on there.
Price structure is all the pricing is there transparently on our site. We have 4 plans. There's the starter, the base, no, 5 plans. The starter, starter, the basic, the pro, the advanced, and then the enterprise plan, and it's entirely dependent on what your ticket volume is. So, and that ticket volume is like across all of your channels. So, and once you get into like our sales team, if there is an interest in exploring moving over to Gorgias or starting with Gorgias, speak with our team, and they'll work with you to understand what your ticket volume is, and then go from there. There's also there's no contracts or anything either, so it's month to month. If you choose to get into a 12-month contract, that's entirely up to you, but it's no obligation, and it's cancel anytime. So there's really no risk of checking it out, and giving it a shot at the very least and see if it works for your business.
Cool. That's great. Again, thank you very much, Michael, for taking the time. I appreciate it, and look forward to connecting when we can make an introduction to a client or a prospect at some point.
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate the time. And thanks to everyone in the audience.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
For more insights on how to improve your e-commerce website and for a free consultation, visit ironplane.com. Follow us on social media and like and subscribe below.